for my STC 2017 is how do I performance test digital website in a single day, and that too from end user perspective. Though the topic seems a bit lengthy in terms of word, my presentation is not. So how does this idea struck to me? Why did this tool came into picture? Why most of our customers are adapting to this tool so fast? So as we analyze this, customers of today's world are getting so impatient and curious that they want to search everything on internet themselves. They want to do everything by themselves. How do I do it myself? Do it yourself stuffs are getting a lot of attention. To retain this kind of curiosity, vendors are creating websites which are media rich, which are content rich, and which contain various kind of objects, so that you can engage your customers for a longer duration. However, if you have a lot of objects on your screen, this would ensure your web page is slower in terms of performance if you had not performance tested it well and took corrective actions. So slower the performance, you that would mean you are losing on your potential customer. If you are developing this website in terms of DevOps or agile environment, that to an aggressive agile environment, maybe like sprint cycle of 1 week or less, that would mean the testing team would get further less time to work upon. That includes performance testing as well. Performance testing is getting better and better, but scripting is getting complex. Since the media rich content are adding more complexity, the JavaScripting and CSS are adding more complexity towards how the traffic is generated from client and server side. Scripting has become more complex even with commercial tools as well. On the top of it, most of the performance testing tool ignore the browser rendering time. They do give the response time, but that is just for the HTTP request and response that has been sent back and forth between the client and the server. If we consider content sites like hbo.com or startv.com, or maybe news site like India Times or NDTV or Financial Express, all this kind of site would have pages coming in and going out day in and day out. To ensure optimum response time of the entire website and various pages, you need to do lot of performance testing, or you need to be on your toes to understand how the system behaves. To add complexity, maintaining the performance suite of such kind of applications, or to maintain performance testing suite for agile environment, it's a complexity in itself. Either you compromise on the coverage, or you compromise on the frequency of performances is up to us. So how do I address all these aspects? That is using LTI Crowd Loader. How? Let's have a look. Performance would have its own challenges. For example, scripting, as I mentioned, is quite complex for content-rich website. Capturing near end-user experience, including video objects or CSS or JS, becomes extremely difficult. If I am given the task of performance testing a website of L&T Infotech, or maybe hbo.com, I would go ahead with using commercial tools like HP Load Runner and their most sophisticated protocol like TrueClient. Now, when I use sophisticated tools and its sophisticated methodology, it comes at cost. At times, the cost of total effort is way too low than the cost of total tool. For example, if my effort cost is X, my tool cost can be at times 20 or 40x as well. Performance testing tools that do provide an option to manipulate or use CSS or JS, or evaluate CSS or JS to some extent, provide their own browser for simulating load. And since it uses its own browser, it can have its dependency on own browser, and hence response time can be a doubtful response time. Since the tools evolve, since the protocols evolve, methodologies evolve, you need special skill set for scripting and execution. If you are doing an agile development, script maintenance pose another different level of challenge. If you are supposed to do a load generation from cloud, you need separate tool license, installations, time, and effort. Finally, performance testing of the entire website to be done needs gathering of all URLs of the website and creating scripts for those URL. This is a task in itself. So what exactly is LTI Crowdloader? How exactly it helps? It's a lightweight cloud-ready performance testing tool. It crawls the URL of website, whatever website it gives, and generate random load. Random because we do not know what your end user is going to browse next. We might have historical information, but that's history. What the new user is going to do, we never know. This is capable of performance testing all kind of websites, including content-rich websites. The best part, it is scriptless. It doesn't have any script at all. It doesn't require any script to be created. All you have to do is you have to give the website, it will do performance testing on its own. No special licenses, no installation, even on cloud. All you need is a Windows machine. And you do not need to do any kind of installation. Just copy paste the code, use the bat file, double click the bat file, and you are set to go. The whole size of this tool is less than 50 KB. The files that are involved for executing this the whole performance testing is less than 50 KB. Since there is no dependency on APIs or whatsoever, the chances of errors are highly low. It is developed in Windows PowerShell, Windows scripting language, with various timeouts and exception, making it graceful during various executions. The difference, if I am supposed to do a performance testing of website like lndinfotech.com using any of the commercial tool with most conservative approach and using the best performance testing framework, I would still need of 3 to 5 weeks of time to do a rightful performance test. So this 50 days effort is reduced to whoopee 1 day using LTI Crowdloader. What's next? How does it work? It actually creates iHandle for various URLs that are crowd. It's using the same iHandle. It creates load for near end user experience and give a random URL load to the server. At the end, you get a consolidated report for all the URLs with average response time in terms of raw results, and in terms of analytics, it gives graphs that help you understand the bottlenecks. Since it uses I of the system, it uses I proxy settings and I caching settings. Everything that you do on I as a setting, it uses the same thing inherently. So no configurations required. It optimally monitors the load generator machine and makes autocorrective action. At times, if it finds that load generator is overloaded and cannot handle the load that you had given, it will rather exit the test and maybe even ask you to terminate the test. So the best part is, as more the system resources you have, more the users you can simulate. There is absolutely no limit on how many users you can simulate using this tool. Whenever there is a request from the client to the server, it's not a single request, it's multiple requests that is combined together from client to server, and the whole process can be broadly classified into 5 different stages. The first being client asking for a page, server giving it just a basic page, and server trying to understand what kind of network are you on, or what kind of device are you holding, what kind of caching do you have, what kind of CDNs you are on, and accordingly second request is made to the server and the DOM processing happens. In this DOM processing, it is decided what kind of advertisement you should be viewing, or what kind of related articles or the next articles should be shown to you. And finally the page rendering happens. Though page rendering and DOM processing happens hand in hand, page rendering is the last thing to end. Most of the performance testing tool which are just grown or just picking up can measure response time till web application time. Comparative performance testing tool can go till DOM processing, and it's our LTI crawl loader which can go from end to end. It can grow from network request right till the last object of page rendering ends. So it waits for the entire I object to load. It waits for all the objects to load successfully. Once it gives a go ahead, yes, my page is loaded successfully, then only it stops, and then only it would measure the response time of a web page. So it gives a real end user experience. How do we do it? So there are two files, as I mentioned. It is one is a PowerShell file, one is a BAT file, less than 50 KB in the size. All you need to do is double click on the BAT file and you get the simple form where you need to put all the details, like what kind of URL you want to crawl and load, what kind of load mix you want to have. Though there is no limit on number of users that can be stimulated through this tool, we had capped it at 250 as of now, since most of the teammates or most of the customers we have are okay with 250 users, or the requirement is for 250 users, and this 250 users can be stimulated safely from 8 core machine with 16 GB RAM. We had capped it as 250, but there is no restriction from the tool itself. We can go beyond 10,000 as well without any coding, without any restrictions. Further on, it will once you provide the details of the URL, it will start crawling that URL. Like in this screenshot, you can see that it has crawled L&T Infotech and found 8,500 URLs, of which 1,100 are unique. Once the URLs are crawled, it would start giving the load to the server. It will give the load randomly, pick up the URLs randomly based on the various load parameters given, and will keep updating you on what is the current stage going on, like ramping up, steady state, ramping down, along with the CPU and RAM utilization timestamps. Finally, it will do a garbage collection to ensure that all the threads from the client to server are closed. There is no open threads on the client side that is actually creating any kind of connection to the server side. Since this is all verbose, it takes minimum to minimum resources at the client side. Our aim is to ensure the tool that we had prepared doesn't take much of the resources. So the entire resource is dedicated for the load generation purpose. Finally, we have the results. We have the result folder. Each execution would have one unique folder dedicated to it. And in each unique folder, you would have a txt file containing the URLs of all the URLs that were crawled, and the average response time of all the URLs that was sampled. This is the part of raw result. Now coming to the analytics part. So as you can see from the analytics part, performance testing of lndinfotech.com as on 2nd August 17 is graded as B. Of 1100 odd unique URLs that were collected, total calls that were made to L&T Infotech website were 2904. So one URL can be called for more than once. Total samples below 3 seconds were 25%. So rest of the 75% URLs were above 3 second bracket, which is unacceptable. And as you can see, the distribution, most of the URL sample calls were about 10 seconds, which is not really a good sign, and hence it was graded as D. This, along with the various other graphs like Pareto graphs or histogram or maybe pivot table, pivot charts, a user is able to find out where the system bottlenecks, which are the URLs that creates a performance bottleneck, and if some corrective actions has to be taken. This, along with the furthermore analysis from tools like Wislow, HTTP Watch, so on and so forth, can help you understand what can be tweaked in a given URL to make it furthermore efficient. But to find out which URLs are creating issue, these tools give the first-hand information. So that's all from my side, guys. I'm Rajat with 12 years of experience in performance, where we are wearing various hats. This is my Twitter and LinkedIn handle. Feel free to contact me.